Hockey Nation Live. I don't know if this is a record, but it's 8:15 Pacific time. I've already been on once. I posted the video earlier about the big trade in the WHL. And now this is your Detroit Red Wings update for Hockey Nation on Monday morning, January the 9th. I can't believe it's January 9th already. Detroit Red Wings fans, real deal prime. Steve Yzerman is not as good a GM as Kevin Adams. I mean, it's definitely working out well in Buffalo right now. Some of that predated him. I don't believe he drafted Rasmussen. I don't believe he drafted Tage Thompson. So they're probably like a year ahead of where Detroit is, we hope. The Tage Thompson acquisition was part of the trade for Ryan O'Reilly, so I'm pretty sure that was a previous GM. But yeah, Kevin Adams has really surprised a lot of us. We were all kind of like, why are you hiring this guy? Never mind, he's good. They made a good move in Buffalo. We picked a great coach and lots of good prospects. But yeah, Buffalo looks like they could make the playoffs. It's halfway through the year, and 5 games above 500 is pretty good. RJ Calabro, thank you for joining. I agree. Let's hit the likes and hit subscribers. Good morning. The 2023, so now it's the U18 Women's World Championship. 2-0 U.S. over Finland in the first. Typically in women's hockey, if you follow this, it's kind of usually a battle between Canada and the U.S. in the end. But Finland's had some moments, you know, like Sweden's had some moments. Finland, I think, knocked off Canada. Oh, man, I can't remember when that was. It was a little while ago. John DJ, thank you for joining. Colorado Avalanche. The Avs are not, you know, I know coach is kind of skeptical about them. I think they'll make the playoffs. They just have a lot of bodies out. If they get Nichushkin back, they get, you know, Francouz would help. If I don't know if they're getting him back, but if they get Landeskog and they get Nichushkin back, they should be in good shape. They're still missing Josh Manson, which is a big offseason signing and a big part of their defense last year. That'll really help. You know, they missed Nick McKinnon for a long time. He's back now. So, and they're playing Rantanen apart from McKinnon. So, you know, that's kind of tricky. So that is what it is. All right, so back to the matters at hand. We are here to update you, Hockey Nation fans, on Detroit Red Wings. It is not pretty still. Don't look now, but the Red Wings are now 16-15, so they're 1 game above 500. For a team that was playing 600 early in the year, they're now on a 3-game winless streak, I guess losing streak. It started off on Friday, actually. So if you look at Friday, it was actually a really good game, but Florida really has their number. 3-2 overtime loss. There's some good things we'll highlight in this game. And then on Saturday to the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-1. This was all Toronto in this game. So they started Husso against Florida and Hellberg versus the Leafs. If you watch these games, please leave your comments. What was your feeling on either of these games? We'll just start off. Also, and I did this video earlier, so you can check it out on our channel. In the CHL, I know we don't usually talk about the CHL, but the Canadian Hockey League. Coming back from a triumphant World Junior Championship where our coach Dennis Williams was the head coach and our number 1 defenseman Olen Zellweger was top 3 defenseman on Team Canada, maybe top 2 this year. I thought Brent Clark played it really well, but going back, I kind of figured this was going to get done, and boy, was it done. A big blockbuster trade Olen Zellweger and Ryan Hofer, who's got 23 goals on the year already in 36 games, to the Kamloops Blazers. Kamloops is ranked top 10 in the CHL, so that's across Ontario, Quebec, and Western Hockey Leagues. So they are legitimate contenders for a WHL championship, and if they win that, then they can go to the Memorial Cup. So I think Olen and Ryan, I wish them both luck. It's a little sad to see them go, especially Olen. Sorry, Ryan, not especially, but man, did we get a truckload back. Big time, right? Has there been a Shane Wright deal yet? Like, you would have thought that would have been already in the works, right? Kraken Senman, no. Yeah. He's going to be traded, but that deal has not been done. Look at what we just got. Well, it's going to be interesting. Like, Seattle was ranked number 1. They made it to the finals last year in the WHL. Thomas Milic, the goalie. You saw 4 of those guys for Canada at the World Juniors. So Seattle's very, very deep. They're better than even last year. They brought in Grayson Sachin. That was a huge coup because he came from the U.S. development program. He was the very first overall U.S. draft pick, if that makes sense. The first time we did a US only draft, and Grayson Sachin went first, and then he went to the US development program, kind of spurned the WHL. And then Billy, our former director of player personnel, Bill LaForge, now the general manager in Seattle, pulled quite the deal. He drafted his younger brother Luke, and then he grabbed Grayson. That's been a big addition. He's got 40 points in 37 games. Everyone's beefing up, so it's I don't think they're going to trade Bedard. Do you? I don't know why you would trade Bedard. He's not. I mean, he's not going to come back next year. I think that'd be shocking if he came back to the WHL. I mean, just looking at what you see, like, why would he? If Jack Hughes played in the NHL right away, why wouldn't he? It's just going to advance his development playing in the NHL, and maybe doesn't rack up huge numbers. But anyways, this is a massive trade for our team. 9 draft picks, including 4 first-round draft picks, and prospects. Like, we have 2 2007s, I think, in this deal. There's 2 defense moves at a 2007 and 2 2005s, and then an overager 2002 just to kind of make room for Hofer. Insane. And if you know our history, typically we don't have first-round draft picks because they've been traded away. So our recent first overall draft pick was the first time we've had one in a lot of years. So giving our team that many firsts, plus the second, like, don't discount the seconds, thirds, and fourths. Like, I don't know if there's any thirds. Yeah, there was 1 third, but it might have been conditional, I think. I mean, this is just like incredible because our scouts do a phenomenal job. I think they're the best scouts that I've seen in the CHL. Like, just the results are phenomenal. They find terrific talents like Olin Zellweger in the second round. Like, come on. So, not to belabor it, but it's a sad day, but it's also obviously bright for the future. Lots of assets for the future for the Everett Silverchips and the WHL. So we'll see how we do the rest of the way. Like, we're definitely depleted without those 2 guys. We got some pieces back that'll probably help us. That'll work into the lineup. We'd already traded one of our goalies, Braden Holt, who's doing much better in Victoria. I think he's 3-0-1 in Victoria. And I think he cut 2 goals or a goal and a half a game off his goals against there. So he's doing pretty good. All right. So the Detroit Red Wings heading into the game against the Panthers were 16, 14, and 7. Panthers, only 20 shots on net, guys. 31 shots for the Red Wings. And the Red Wings dominate finally in the faceoff. And what happens? The results the other way is so weird. Like, 20 hits to 20, only 4 penalty minutes, 5 power plays. But the power plays for the Panthers killed the Red Wings, 2 for 2. So that was the difference, really. And 16 block shots for the Panthers was interesting. It was a close game, but no cigar. So, it's a regulation. It's not even, I made a mistake. It was a regulation win for the Panthers. So no points for the Red Wings. Great that Jonathan Berggren continues to produce, and his upside is, the Detroit Red Wings upside. Him and Raymond and Rasmussen and Sider and all the other young guys. This is the key: is let them play, let them get better. They're at the age where they can. So Berggren gets them on early. He looked great again in this game. This might have been his best game as a Red Wing, to be honest with you. Gustav Forsling ties it up. Then Aaron Ekblad, who took a weird penalty too, but he did get a power play goal in this game. And then he gets another power play. So you got both power play goals. He was pissed off in this game, if you watched it. And then Robbie Fabry makes it close, but that was it. Kind of no cigar. Billy Husso in the net did not face that many shots. I think he was like an 850 save percentage. Yeah, 850. So this is not great. The power play for the Panthers really hurt. And then, so now 16, 15, and 7, up against the Red Wings or the Leafs. Wow, does that mean the Red Wings are, I think they're 16, 15, and 7 now. We'll take a look at the standings just to confirm. So this was all Leafs. I mean, 29 shots on goal. Magnus Hellberg's in net. I didn't like that matchup. 38 hits for the Red Wings. Like, they were trying. But 0 for 4 in the power play. This power play is killing them. They got no offense on this team. It's just crazy. Jake Wallman gets them on, and that was kind of it. And Wallman's been playing very well for them. I mean, this is another good find, but it's just not enough to get them over the edge, especially a team with so much talent, Mitch Marner gets his 15th of the year. Tavares is 17th. Holmberg only is 4th. I'm really surprised at this. When you watch him, I think he's a real good player. Like, this is a great replacement for Mikheyev. I realize the production's not there yet, but you can see, like, he is a good player. He's got good speed, and he plays like a pretty complete game, and he's got some offense. And then Tavares finished it off, put the nail in the coffin, his 18th of the year, and that was that. So this was, not much to write home about. Again, Sherratt and Seider -1. This has been an off year for Seider. I think they got to find a new partner for Seider. This is not working out for him. I mean, geez, is it crazy that Danny DeKaiser was a better partner for him? That's wacky. They need some offense here, guys. They need to score some goals. Is Verona coming back? Like, man, I hope he gets on track. Hellberg, 8-9-3 save percentage. That is not good enough. That really is not. So now you look in the standings, and what are we dealing with? Detroit, 16, 15, and 7 after that game. This is the telling part. 114 goals for, now 129 goals against. That differential is just ballooning. This is not good news. That's not what you need heading into the second half of the year. They do have some games in hand, 38 games. Most of the other teams ahead of them have more. Although Buffalo only 37. That's interesting. Buffalo is just, as I said, Buffalo's going to leapfrog. Florida's going nowhere. This team is just not in it. Is Cole Yzerman the big fish for next year's draft? I don't know. I mean, he's a very good player. That is a good question. I will have to start researching and thinking about who is in that, because that would be the 2006s, and that's a pretty deep draft class. Is Cole Yzerman the best? Maybe. He's up there. I mean, he might be. I don't know what's in Europe. I have to think about what's everywhere else. But generally, 2006 is a very good birth year in Canada and the US. And I think the 07s are better. So there's lots to look forward to. But, he might be. He's probably up there. He might be a top 10 pick. Maybe he's better than that. Yeah, I'll do a little research and maybe we can do something on this. So apologize if I seem down a little bit today. I'm a little disappointed. I mean, I'm happy that we got so much for Olin, but it's kind of sad to see him go. And I know he's going to be in Anaheim and San Diego, and I can, kind of keep tracking him because I'm really close there. But it's disappointing. You see a guy when he's like 14, he comes in, you got to send him back. He comes in, has his adjustment year, and then he's just been lights out, and he's exceeded anybody's expectation of him. And it's just because he works real hard. He's real skilled and talented. He took that talent and did something with it. And this is just the beginning for him, really. So even if it's the end with the sober tips, and I think it's probably the end for him in the WHL, I would think. I got to see him in the AHL next year or the NHL, maybe, but I think he can play in the AHL next year. He's already 19, so is he 19? Yeah, should be. Can't keep track. COVID screwed up my calendar. All right, next matchup. Oh my God. The future is crazy with all those assets, and we've got good players coming. Like, we have a really good goalie in Sanderman coming. We have a defenseman, Greek kid. I can't pronounce his name. Ethan Nikokis. Another great defenseman in the mold of an Olin. Native kid. Is he native or Greek? I thought the last name was Greek, but he might be native. I have to check. I don't know why I thought he was Greek. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's native. I think he's native. There's lots coming. Julian May is going to be real good. Like, there's a lot going on. If we could get our U.S. guy to come, he'd be great. A couple of them. We have a couple of really good U.S. players in the kitty. So that plus all those assets, the future is definitely bright. All right, next matchup for the Red Wings, the really, really tough Winnipeg Jets. Like, this is lots of kudos to Rick Bowness. Every time I doubt Rick Bowness, I'm proven wrong. The matchup, probably Husso against the otherworldly Hellebuck. We talked about elite goalies yesterday. Hellebuck's definitely in that category. And I think with a better defensive structure, you're seeing him benefit from that. And he's able to lead this team the way you would assume he would, looking at a goalie with that much talent. Best move ever was moving on from Paul Maurice. Look at the chaos in Florida. You know, the defense is just a disaster. You've got two pretty damn good goalies in Florida. I don't care what anybody says. And you got pretty good defensive, like, it's not a bad defense there, guys. I don't buy that it's suddenly a bad defensive core, like personnel wise, but they might blow up Florida as a result of this. So 29-1, 928 save percentage, 3 shutouts. That is Connor Hellebuyck. We'll be going up against the 12-8-5. 903 now. His save percentage keeps getting worse. Still 3 shutouts, but you know, he's kind of fading a little bit here. Billy Husso, but if it's not Husso, it's nothing, you know. And they keep showing Nedeljkovic. Well, Nedeljkovic get another start, maybe, but in the end, Hellebuyck seems to be the backup, and even that's not a solution. This guy, Kyle Connor, guys, top 10 in NHL scoring, had a hat trick last night, 10 points his last 5 games, 5 goals, 5 assists. Pierre-Luc Dubois has 6 assists as a +7, so that's good. But you know, this tells the tale. Lucas Raymond, a couple goals the last 5 games, 3 points for Roenick as the leading scorer. They need a lot more offense from the likes of Larkin. Fabry's got to get on board. You know, they just need more offense, guys. Like, come on, Detroit, figure this out. I'm sure they know that because it's not like they're shutting teams down. You know, 4-1 is a bit of a blow. The game against Florida was okay, but I don't think Florida is consistent or great. So you got to hope they get in the win column, but I think the deck at this point is pretty stacked against them. So hopefully they pull out a game here. If you look at their schedule ahead, there are winnable games. Quinton Musty for the 005s? Possibly. Yeah, we have to probably do so much focus on like the top 5-6 picks, you know? But Musie's like an 05 from New York, right? Yeah, he's from New York. Buffalo Junior Sabres. But he's playing for Sudbury, obviously. But man, I remember seeing him with the Buffalo Junior Sabres. And he's very good. But it's a little hard to tell sometimes. Denver Domfus was another player. I don't know if he was related to Vincent or not. I don't think so, but I always wondered that. Yeah, it is. It's Vincent Domfus' son, 6'3" defenseman. He's now at U.S. Kent prep school. But he played on that team as a 14-year-old. So I remember that team. But again, it's been a while since I've seen him. And we'll have to see. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, he was a real talented winger. I think he plays wing. I don't think he's a centerman, right? But he's got good size and speed. And I mean, 48 points in 32 games in the OHL. This guy's no joke. This is a good news story. Going from Buffalo over to Sudbury, that's awesome. Not often you see U.S. guys like that come in. JQ, I don't know what this means. I hope it's positive. All right. So Detroit Red Wings, Winnipeg Jets tomorrow night. I don't know. I've been trying to think about this ENORTAP. What will Steve Yzerman do at the deadline? He might unload some guys. You know, like he might have made some assessments on some of these guys, and he might just try to get more assets back. The young guys are certainly emerging. They've got Marco Kasper, who looks like, you know, he's going to be, again, kind of like the steal of this past draft. William Wallander is really turning out. Big 6'5" defenseman, and he can skate. And now he's scoring. Like, he's got some offense in the SHL. So there's players like that in the wings. Jonathan Berggren has obviously panned out. And I remember Coach going, wow. And I said, yeah, he has no reason to go to the AHL. He should make the team. And that could be your star centerman. That could be your Datsuk at some point. Like, what? I'm like, no, I think so. I mean, and you can see he's got loads of talent. So that's good news. I think Veleno's working out really well. I think Rasmussen's working out really well. So those guys are the future, along with Lucas Raymond and Seider. So why would you keep investing in these older assets? Does he get anything to help them now? I don't think so. I'd be shocked. I think the writing's on the wall what this team is. I don't know, because he was in the AHL and it was only on a conditioning stint. So I have not really heard anything. They haven't talked about it. Because, wow, yeah, he is back in the AHL. He has no points 1 assist in 6 games. So at the time he cleared waivers, he had 3 games, no points. And now he's played 6 games, he's got 1 assist. That does not sound like a guy ready to help the Red Wings out here. So that just does not seem like it's going to be a solution anytime soon. The guy that needs to get back on track is Kubalik. Like, Kubalik was playing so well at the beginning of the year. He's got all the ability. He shoots the puck hard. He's big. He does a lot of great things. You need Kubalik back on. You need to get some secondary score. You need some scoring, period. Like, you know, Larkin's fallen off. Kubalik's fallen off. This is not going to get easier. Like, we're only halfway through, guys. It's not a 40-game season, Red Wings. So they need to figure something out here. Perron's been, you know, Perron, he's going to get 27 goals and 60 points, and that's probably what you would have expected. You can't ask much more from that. Does Fabry get on track? Fabry's always a little streaky, you know, but he's capable of netting out like 18, 20 goals in a full season. Really, I think it's just time, which means not this year. I don't see them helping themselves this year. I think they focus on next year. They bring in some more assets. Might be a young player that's, you know, God, wouldn't you love to see a Philip Tomasino come to Detroit? I would. I mean, that's a guy that might work out really well in Detroit. And he's sitting in the AHL, and I don't get it. Like, I think Phil Tomasino is real talented. I think they hang on to Perron. He could be traded for a good return. Did they not sign him for 3 years? I mean, he would help anyone, but he could help the Red Wings. But maybe he's not, you know, you're right. He could get some real good assets. I mean, how bad would St. Louis love to have this guy still on their lineup, you know? They didn't pay him that much. He's got a pretty favorable contract. He could really go to a contender and have a big impact. So that could be interesting. And you'd probably fetch a damn good return. Like, is his value next year more than it is this year? Or do you just keep him and you say, hey, he's the example and he drives the bus a little bit, but he's not getting them into the playoffs. Kubalik's not getting them into the playoffs. You know, definitely Sherratt's not getting in the playoffs. So is he a net seller? It's very possible, you know. Stevie Yzerman's kind of like plays 4D chess, so I would not be surprised if he does this. Whatever it does, it'll be well thought out, and I think it'll benefit them long term. Trying to think of who else could help the Red Wings aside from draft picks. You know, there's probably guys that like Wallmans that we're not seeing, that Yzerman says, hey, if he just had an opportunity, he's going to be good. I'm sure he sees guys like that. I like Philip Tomasino. I think that guy has always been underrated. He did this with Team Canada, you know, like he was like the 13th forward. Injury, he gets in, he's like their best player. He's that type of guy. He had 32 or 34 points as a rookie last year in the NHL, and he's a point a game in the AHL. I think he might have started hurt, but you know, this is a guy that maybe you make, if Nashville says, hey, you know, we're actually on the cusp and do they get a David Perron? And then you send it and get a Tomasino, and then you got Tomasino for a long, long time. Like, that's a real good player that can solidify a second line on a team like Detroit. That could be a real interesting type of move, you know. Anyway, so we got Winnipeg tonight, Toronto again on Thursday, and then Columbus, you know. So Columbus, of those 3 games, is the most winnable. I think Colorado's going to be real tough next week. Arizona's winnable. Vegas is crushing it. Philadelphia's definitely improved. They lost to the Leafs. Was it 6-2? But, I mean, they've improved a ton. So just looking ahead, the Columbus game is a game you got to win. Arizona is a game you got to win. You got to figure out how to beat Philadelphia. And then you got San Jose and Montreal you got to win. So if they can win those, then they're back a little bit on track. But, you know, otherwise, you're starting to head into February, March, and you got to start thinking, like, do we move a Perron? Do we move a Sherratt? Are these guys we get assets back for? And then we do it again in the summer. We go get similar type older guys to fill in the lineup. We have some guys that step in and take the team to the next level, because as much as the team is improved over last year, it's not enough, is it? And you know, guys like Perron, he ain't young, so maybe just bring in an asset. All right, so we are 17 minutes before the hour. I did the video earlier on the Everett Silvertips massive trade. I appreciate everybody who's joining. Please hit the likes and subscribes. What do you think of the Detroit Red Wings? Is this kind of a fait accompli? Is this team going to be a net seller? We're quite a ways away from the deadline. We're only halfway through the year. Yeah, I think you're right. Like if they can pull out those winnable games, then they're kind of like they might be able to drop one of them. I think they might still be 5-5, and they have to do something just to kind of stay where they are. But that's not going to get them in the playoffs. You need to be a 600 team in this East to be in the playoffs. It's just too good. When you look at the standings, let's see. When you look at the standings, it's pretty obvious. You know, we're happy to have Fabry back. Verona seems like that ain't happening. There's a reason people let him through waivers. 3 losses in a row, could be 4 after tonight, very likely. And then you look in the wild card, like they're not going anywhere. Buffalo, if anything's moving up, I think Islanders will keep trying to chip away at it, but they're not exactly a world beater. You know, they were up here earlier in the year. So now they've settled down to normal. Pittsburgh's going to go as Chris Letang, Sidney Crosby, and Malkin go, and it would really help if they get Tristan Jarry back. But if they have Letang in there, very different back on D. Now, you're right. I forgot that CC was in Edmonton. So it's like the decor is like weird. It's had a lot of turnover. Like you've got Petrie, and he's hurt, right? He's missed like a bunch of games, 10 games or 12 games. You've got Letang, who's missed a bunch of games. And then you're down to Peterson. I think they called up Ty Smith, and he's got like a goal in 3 games up them. So if he gets on track, that'll be good news because they lost Marino. And then you've got Brian Dumoulin, who's always reliable but doesn't give you any offense. So without Letang, they're a very weird defense, right? And they show it. They look like they're playing inside out. And that's just not what you need. You know, on offense, they got some firepower. I mean, this guy, you know, like it's not like it's kind of not a no-name defense, but it's not a great name defense. Jan Ruda's acceptable. Pierre-Olivier Joseph, he's okay, right? +9, yeah. So he's been good, but they're not like otherworldly. That's for sure. They need Tristan Jarry in the nets. And not that the Smith is bad, but they're night and day with Jarry in and out. So they need him in and healthy, but we know he's out. So Pittsburgh's very curious case. I got to think that Buffalo jumps up in there. The Rangers and New Jersey might swap. And, New Jersey and Buffalo would be, in my mind, who gets in. But, Pittsburgh's going to have something to say about that. So it's going to be an interesting run. I just don't see Florida. I think the Islanders will probably fall out, and Pittsburgh's going to be on the bubble. And it would take a miracle for Ottawa or Philly to come out of where they're at in the basement. Don't look now. Seattle's dropping again. 4 wins and they've dropped. How's that work? I think it's the 5 games in hand that LA Kings have, right? That's probably what it is. But they got like 4 games in hand on Vegas and 5 on Kings, man. But then they got this big road trip. Interesting. All right, we are now 13 minutes before the hour. I'm probably going to wrap this up. The ship has sailed for Pittsburgh. I'm not convinced. I never want to count them out. They got a lot of firepower in offense. They got 2 superstars up front and 1 in the back. And if Jarry gets back in any time, then they could pull off another 5-6 game winning streak, and they're right in it again. So I just don't think they're going to let go of that. They think if they get in the playoffs, they have a shot. So very motivated, very experienced, still super talented. I mean, there's a lot of weapons on that offense. It's really the defense that's horrible. I mean, without Letang, I look like terrible. Like Pee-wee hockey was terrible. Anyways, all right, guys, thank you so much for joining. Thank you for watching the prior video on the trade for the Elvis Servitups. Maybe we'll keep an eye on Major Junior because I think there's going to be a lot more deals, including Shane Wright at some point in the OHL. What are you looking forward to? I think there'll be Hockey Nation Live tonight with Coach Frenchie. If you look at the schedule, quick look at that. Thanks, ENORTAP. It was fun being on with you last night. As usual, I don't know if my internet was ghosting or Coach's. It was weird. I don't know why mine would. I have like super fast internet. But maybe it's possible. So let's see. Monday night, January 9th, we have, are we heading into the All-Star break soon? Is that next weekend? When is the All-Star break? Flyers and Sabres. Flyers have been much improved lately, but the Sabres are just monsters, and I hope the Sabres win that and keep inching up into a playoff spot. Predators and Senators. Preds are like a yo-yo team as well. This is in Ottawa. Sens obviously made a big jump. Can they take another leap forward? Canadians and Kraken. This is bad news for the Canadians because Seattle's been playing great, and Canadians are on a big losing streak, right? Oilers and Kings. This is a majorly important game. The Oilers got to figure out some consistency there. Kings, man, they just win, and they don't have amazing goaltending. So that's what's on schedule tonight. Let's just share my screen. Actually, show you. I'm a visual learner, so maybe you are too. So yeah, Sabres and Flyers, 7 p.m. Eastern, 7:30. Preds and Sens in Ottawa. Kraken at Montreal, 7:30 Eastern, and then the late game, Oilers and Kings, which that's the game I'm going to be watching. Hopefully, if I can get it on TV, because they're always blacking me out on Kings games. I got to figure that out. But Oilers, you just want to see some more consistency. They're only 4 games above 500, and that puts them in the bubble. So hopefully they go on a bit of a run here and they tighten up the D. It's really important that someone like Evan Bouchard get back on track, but he's a young guy, so maybe not, Anyways, hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for joining Hockey Nation in the Morning, your Detroit Red Wings update. And we look forward to seeing you tonight on Hockey Nation Live. You beat St. Louis. Yeah, that's true. Have a great day, John DJ. Thank you for joining. Really appreciate you tuning in. And thank you to all the people that hit like and subscribe. And we will see you tonight on Hockey Nation Live.